Dear Diary, today was my first day in New York City and it was so exciting getting there. I'm not even homesick. Well, okay, maybe just a little. Anyway, today I went to two museums already, the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the American Folk Art Museum. They were both amazing. So while I was at the Met, that's what they call the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I saw so many exhibitions and paintings and I really wish I could go see all of them, but there just wasn't enough time. But anyway, my tour group decided to focus on one exhibition. It was called American Stories, and it was this whole gallery filled with American paintings by American painters about American life in the late 1800s, and even there were so many paintings, there was just one that I just kept coming back to, and it was called The Music Lesson, painted by John George Brown. And my tour guide came over and she saw me looking at it. She told me this whole story about it, and basically during that time marriage was dwindling in popularity. So since music was a universally accepted way of expressing one's feelings and it was a culturally acceptable way of courtship, Brown decided to paint this moving painting of a young musician and he's courting his beloved by teaching her how to play the flute. Oh, so romantic. So yeah, and I didn't even notice, but my tour guide came over and she told me even more. Like, did you know that Brown implemented certain signs into the paintings to further highlight the couple's love for each other? Like, did you know that a planter filled with ivy is supposed to signify a woman's tendency to hold on to her man for support? I didn't know that. And you know, Brown even purposely complimented the couple's attire to further emphasize their feelings for each other. How romantic. So anyway, Diary, after our group left the Met, we decided to go to the American Folk Art Museum. And let me tell you, it was a completely different feel from the Met. I mean, while the Met was huge and endless, this museum was actually small and cozy, and we saw all the exhibits. I've gotta say, it was a nice change. Anyway, my favorite exhibit by far has got to be the New York Sampler, and it's probably because of this one painting, A View Ascending to a Village by Fannie A. Coney. I mean, there was something about it that just reminded me of The Music Lesson, even though it was painted in figures earlier. It was probably because of the couple standing in the center of the painting. I mean, they were linking arms and they just looked like they were holding on to each other for support. And it reminded me of when my tour guide told me about the ivy holder in The Music Lesson, how a woman tended to hold on to her man for support. I mean, maybe that's what love in American paintings are, a bond of unity and support. But I've gotta say, there's gotta be compassion involved as well. I mean, the couple in the painting, they just look so merry. I'm not sure if that's the right word to describe it. Well, anyway, it's been a long day, and it's getting late. Tomorrow I've got an early tour. I'm gonna go see the Morgan Museum and Library. So excited. Well, till then, I'll update you. Night, Diary. Dear Diary, so today I finally got to see the Morgan Museum and Library, and let me tell you, it was amazing. Compared to the Met, it was pretty small, but I did like the cozy feel of it, and we didn't get to see all the exhibits due to a tight time schedule. But still, I'm really glad I went, because this one exhibit I saw was really mesmerizing. It was called Rococo Revolutions of the 18th Century French Drawings, and inside there were mostly drawings and some paintings, mostly sketches, that weren't quite finished but were developed enough to have a storyline. Like, for example, I saw this one drawing, and it was called Phaedra Confesses Her Love for Hippolytus to Owain by Anna Louis Girardet Torreson. And it had a backstory that traced all the way to this tragic play called Phaedrus. And it depicts a scene where Phaedrus confesses to her nurse and confidant, Owain, that she does love Hippolytus, even though she's already married to another man. I don't know, Diary, but after seeing this painting, it just made me realize how different the French and American depict love in art. I mean, while the Americans, you know, how in The Music Lesson, they depict love visibly and as a union, the French seem to portray it more as just an emotion, and they capture it at its most raw or at its most refined. I mean, I guess I just got this sense of longing and secrecy from the drawing. It was as if the emotions and love were all there, but they could only be let out in confidence. So today we decided to end early, which I guess is a good thing, because I decided to go back to the Met. I mean, that place is just so huge, you can get lost in there, and I didn't get to see all the exhibits I wanted, so I decided to explore a bit. And it didn't take long until I came across another French painting. This one was called Antoine Laurent Leviosa and His Wife by Jacques-Louis David. And okay, diary, I know that portraits are supposed to be refined and not convey a lot of emotion, but it seems to me that Antoine Laurent looks a little surprised that his wife decided to lean on his shoulder. Or maybe it's just amusement. I can't be too sure. Or maybe that's just the way that the French like to portray love in their paintings. Maybe they're more likely to have refined romance or capture it on its most raw. Anyway, before I forget, here are some pictures I took at the Met. So flushed in there. Well, it is really cold here. I should wear more next time. Well, diary, tomorrow's gonna be my last day in New York City. Can you believe the time flew by already? Well, the good news is that our tour guide said we could go anywhere we want tomorrow. That should be exciting. Anyway, I'll update you on what happened tomorrow. Till then, night. Dear diary, packing is so exhausting, so I just had to take a short break to update you on my day. After all, I don't want to forget a moment of my trip here. So, since it was my last day, I decided to go back to the Morgan Museum and Library because I didn't really get to spend much time here yesterday. And since it is coming close to the holiday season, I decided to go see a holiday-themed exhibit, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And inside that exhibit, I saw the original manuscripts as well as many paintings, all of which are very lively. And there's this one painting I saw, and it had this jolly couple, this jolly English couple, and they were preparing to dance amidst this lively ball. And of course, the painting was called Mr. Fezziwig's Ball by John Leech, and it was painted specifically for Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. Anyway, there was something about this painting, diary, that just made it stood out from American and French paintings I saw. I mean, it wasn't quite like the American depiction of love, just too visible and liberal, but it wasn't quite as restricted as the French depiction of love either. It seemed to be a comfortable mix of the two, the most realistic depiction of love. It seemed to me that the English like to portray love as something happy, but not wild, something to be appreciated, and not just a bond of unity. So anyway, after wandering around a bit more, I eventually came across this exhibit called A Woman's Wit, The Life and Legacy of Jane Austen. And you know me, diary, being a really big Jane Austen fan, I knew I just had to check it out. Anyway, inside it was amazing. There were actually original manuscripts from Jane Austen herself, and even some paintings that depicted scenes that happened in some of her stories. There was this one description I saw that caught my eye just because it was so weird. I mean, it says something like, some marriages are just unhappy. And okay, call me naive, but I just didn't see that. So I read on a bit more, and there was actually a quote from Jane Austen herself, saying something along the lines of, anything is to be endured except a marriage without affection. I mean, a marriage without affection, can you imagine? I guess this just further emphasizes the English perception of love. I mean, you never really see an English painting with couples that aren't happy. Or you always see them like the jolly couple in Mr. Fezziwig's Ball. Are there couples like that exist in English paintings? Or you see something that looks a little bit like this? I don't think that last one turned out very well. Well, diary, it's almost time for me to go out, hail a cab, and get to the airport. It's time to go home, which is just as well. I was getting a bit homesick, but I definitely will miss you, New York.